It is overtime here again at Old Favorite Friday, and we are continuing to talk about the Duvel triple hop. This is the triple hop Citra from Duvel, classic Belgian brewery. You know how much we love Belgian breweries around here, being one ourselves at heart at least, even though we do some other styles for sure. Duvel's a wonderful beer. The triple hop is a beer that I've been enjoying for many years. This actually has been requested several times by you folks for giving us your suggestions, so I appreciate it. But one of the people that I have to call out is Bob. Bob is a very close friend of one of my partners, Bill, neighbor, and he also volunteers at the brewery all the time, and he was the one that said, hey, have you done the triple hop yet? And I said, no, but we're going to do it soon. So here it is, a Duvel triple hop with Citra. A couple things about this beer that I thought were interesting. One, I had kind of always just assumed that this was Duvel and regular Duvel with a different hopping schedule to make it more interesting or unique or to make it stand out, maybe for the American market. And then I did a little more research into it, and it appears to be a different beer in a lot of ways. At the very least, it's a 9.5% ABV, while Duvel is listed as 8.5. So there's at least something going on there, other than just the hopping schedule. But from what my research tells me is that this beer, typically the regular Duvel beer, is usually done with Saaz and Styrian Golding hops, and this adds a dry hop of Citra, which is an American style hop, a lot of citrus flavors going on with it, a hop that's been very, very popular over the last, I guess, 10-15 years now, especially in the American craft beer world, but really going all over the country, or all over the world. People are using Citra in really, really great beers. This beer is really interesting. They list it as a Belgian IPA, which I also was not expecting that. I've drank this beer. You know, sometimes you don't evaluate the package on things that you get, and I never realized it was listed as an IPA before. And maybe in the early days of it, maybe it wasn't, and I just didn't realize it. But it's listed as a Belgian IPA at 9.5%. You get this really impactful nose of like floral, like old world kind of hoppiness, but I'm also getting like a lot of lychee. I'm picking up a little bit of stone fruit. I'm picking up like lime and grapefruit. I would say most of those citrus aspects and that lychee, that tropical fruit, definitely coming from the Citra hops. This thing is really, really clean. I mean, you can tell by the color. It's just got a gorgeous color, almost like a light straw golden color. I mean, effervescent, bottle condition, I'm sure, just like a good Belgian beer should be. And so it's got that nice, like, exploding carbonation, really, really good. This would be a great beer for, like, kind of cleansing the palate with all that nice acidity from the carbonic acid in there. But you also got the classic Belgian phenolic spiciness going on that you're getting from the yeast. So you have all this spiciness, you have all this fruit and tropical and citrus fruit flavor that I'm picking up from this. One thing that I've always noticed, and this was something we dealt with for years in the world of making a quote-unquote Belgian IPA, is that I always felt that Belgian ale yeast with a lot of the American citrus-forward hops, and I'm even talking about like the classic ones, Cascade, Chinook, Centennial, things like that, or the West Coast hops, I should say, is that they tend to mix together to give me something that tastes medicinal. And Belgian IPAs became a really big thing in like the 2010s, around that time. And I always found them to be very one note. Like I'd like the first 2 or 3 sips, and then I would just kind of get bored with it because I felt like that medicinal flavor would come out, and they just didn't keep me. And I think they did a really, really great job of balancing that kind of new world hop profile with the Belgian yeast character that's here in this beer already. We have found that using Belgian yeast with more of the New Zealand hop profile works really well. That really goes into that tropical area. But it's a balance. I'm trying to make these two styles kind of fit together, and I think they did a really, really good job with this beer. Yeah, I mean, just really, really clean. It's got a nice bitterness to it. That's another thing. You know, when you see hoppy, quote-unquote, beers from Belgium, you tend not to get a lot of bitterness. You tend to get some, old school, classic hop profile, a lot of grassy, a lot of herby, things of that nature, and you get some of that here. But this is really bright. It's got the New World hopping, and it's got the bitterness behind it. And I like a good amount of bitterness when I'm dealing with hoppy beers. I find it really refreshing. It's got a really, really nice flavor on the tongue. So I think they really hit this out of the park. This is a great beer of a hybrid of that classic Belgian style and the New World style. Duvel has been around forever. They first started making beer back in like the late 1800s, 1871 I think it was. And the first time they ever brewed Duvel itself was in 1923. So they've been around for a long time. They absolutely know how to do these beers. The first time they tried the triple hop concept was back in 2007. But this beer actually came up in 2012. So this beer, we always talk about Old Favorite Friday. What does it mean? What we try to do is get beers that are 10 years old at least, that are from well-known breweries, beers that you can get your hands on that people just don't appreciate as much as they might have when they came out, or people sleep on them because they're widely available. And this is a beer that if you go into your specialty shop, you can probably find it, and maybe you haven't had it in a while. And if you're a fan of these kind of styles, I mean, I just can't recommend it enough. We always talk about food pairings on this. And the first thing when I was drinking this beer yesterday to try to prepare myself for Old Favorite Friday is that I was thinking about what would go really well with this. And a lot of beers with this kind of body and this kind of carbonation, fatty fishes do really, really well because one of the things that a beer or a wine or anything you drink with your food should do is it should cleanse the palate. So I think that salmon would be a really, really nice dish with this. And I'm thinking because of the hoppiness, and hops lend themselves to spicy foods, I'm thinking something like a jerk seasoning or a Cajun seasoning on salmon, really, really good. That would go really, really, really well with this beer. But I'm also thinking of going more with something like a spicy salmon or a spicy tuna roll for sushi, something of that nature that would add a little more of that spice component in there, maybe with one of those like sriracha mayo or something over the top of it. This beer, even though it's really light in color, because of its 9.5 ABV, because of the carbonation, because of all these flavors that are going on, it can hold up to a kind of robust, really, really rich dish. And I think this would go really, really well together. So I would highly recommend, like always, any of the beers for Old Favorite Friday, we recommend, please go out there, support them. If you can't find the triple hop, you can't go wrong with Duvel, okay? They're an incredible brewery, and they know what they're doing, and the beers are classic for a reason. But try it. Go pick up go get sushi this weekend and try one of these combinations together. Let us know if you ever try any of these combinations, these food pairings, or you just pick the beer up and you're like, wow, I haven't had this in a while. Let us know in the comments. Direct message us. Tell us what we should be drinking next week for Old Favorite Friday. We love the recommendations, as you can see. We really, really appreciate it. There's tons and tons of beers out there. We've been doing this for over 2 years now, and we are sometimes worried that we're going to run out. We're never going to run out. There's so many good beers that are available, and the beer that's not old this year might be a little bit older next year. We'll get to it eventually. So thank you guys very much. Please poke around the channel, see longer conversation about some of these great beers. Please follow us on social media and get the kind of the small snippet videos that we put up on our stories on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.